Hey, what's up? I'm Brock.
I'm Tay.
And in this video, we're going to be answering your questions about why we moved to Park City.
I thought we were answering questions about Park City.
Okay. Hey, what's up? I'm Brock.
I'm Tay.
And in this video, we're going to be answering your questions about Park City. Why did we leave California and why did we choose Park City?
Park City.
Park City. Park City/Utah.
Before everyone starts commenting, thank God you got out of California, it's going downhill. We love California, and we're gonna move back to California, so be careful with what you say. We're not tied down by anything. We work for ourselves, we can work from...
Oh, your timer's...
Alexa, stop. Hold on, I have to go change who's getting water.
Eventually, when we do a home tour, we'll show you our backyard, but one of the awesome things about our backyard is we have dwarf apple trees, but we're currently watering them, so Tay is transferring the hose from one tree to the other.
We work for ourselves. We can work from anywhere. We are not tied down by anything. That's why we move around so much, because now is the best time to explore and experiment with where we want to live. We lived in Washington, absolutely loved it, Seattle specifically, but it was too far from the ski resorts for it to be worth it to us. We were literally spending every single weekend at an Airbnb in the winter. Switched to trailer life, which we did the past 2 winters. That was amazing, but because we loved it so much, we're like, well, maybe we should invest in something a little easier to live in. And we fell in love with Park City last winter, lived here most of the time, and figured this is the best place for us. It's driving distance from California, which is helpful because we can take our 2 dogs.
And we've talked more about this in some of our past videos. Absolutely beautiful. It's much lower cost of living, much better on taxes, all that good stuff.
Is there a cultural difference?
For the record, for those of you who don't know, 2/3 of people in Utah are Mormon, so 66%, but in Park City, it's only 33%. And from what I would say, no, at least in living in Park City, there's not really a cultural difference between California. There's just so many transplants in Park City. But what I will say seems to be a difference in terms of culture is, specifically in Park City, people are a lot more like outdoorsy focused.
I think that's more about just where you live and not like the type of... Like, I'm sure there's parts of Utah where you're not outdoorsy focused.
For sure.
But in Park City, 1000%, because you don't really move here unless you want to be outdoorsy, unless you are outdoorsy.
Life is centered around the mountains, whether it's summer and you're hiking or you're winter and you're snowboarding, skiing, whatever, you know.
But religious-wise, I haven't really noticed much of a difference.
How the dogs doing? How are Mila and Shotzi adjusting?
They adjusted very, very quickly. I would say the first 2 to 3 days, they were definitely a little bit more anxious. Once we got everything unpacked, you saw them settle a bit more. And then I felt like they fully settled after a week and a half, 2 weeks, once they had a routine in place. And aside from the moving aspect, I feel like they're a lot happier here because they're more stimulated. They can hang outside and watch the birds and explore. We take them for a lot more walks and we take them swimming and stuff.
We have had to up their amount of food that they're getting with each meal because they've just been so much more active here with the ability to run outside and play with each other. For some reason, they think that our front yard is like a park, so they run around and play whenever they get out in the front yard.
It's like special or something.
Speaking of parks, there are lots of really great parks in our neighborhood. Our neighbors have dogs, so they can kind of like interact with them. Mila's talking since we've been here.
We maybe get like a few words a day, which is, if you follow her account, that's why we haven't been posting, because she just hasn't been talking. It makes me so happy that she's not constantly asking for a puzzle or for a WALK.
She's asleep right now.
Her needs are met.
What's the weather like? What's the climate like in Park City? This one's been a surprise for her, a pleasant surprise. You want to tell them?
Yeah, I had never been here in the summer. You had never been here in the summer. And after living in Washington, I just thought it would be kind of similar to that. Especially since we're up in the mountains, I thought, you know, maybe a warm day would be 75 or 80. And then also that was kind of backed up by like our first 2 weeks here were thunderstorming and kind of cold, with the highs being like 65.
For example, the first week that we moved here, we had to get our heated floors fixed. And the day we were getting it fixed, we were like, we need it. It was like 62 outside. That was the high, and we were cold.
Every single day, the high is like no less than 85.
And now it's to the point where we yesterday went to Walmart and got a portable AC unit for our bedroom. because it's been getting hot. And since the sun doesn't go down until like 9 p.m., the peak temperature is still at its peak at like 7:45. So you need that AC to cool it down.
Yeah. So I really, really loved that and appreciated that because that was something that I didn't particularly love about Washington. Winters are winter. It snows a ton. The snow sticks through the whole winter up here in the mountains. Don't think it does in Salt Lake.
Not really.
Not really. Last winter, I would say it averaged the high being the low 20s, high teens, but it got down to as cold as the highs being single digit. Have we made friends?
Not really. We've made acquaintances. We're very friendly with our neighbors, which is something that really makes us happy. And we've been like introducing ourselves to people. But in terms of actually like making friendships and getting people's phone numbers and people our age, we haven't done that yet. And I feel like a big part of that is that we've been traveling so much. If you've watched in the last month since we moved into this house, we spent a week in Paris, we spent a couple days in San Diego, we spent a couple days in Iowa, we had her family in town for a couple days, which was wonderful to get the house fixed up, but we haven't really had like a free off weekend since our first weekend here.
I will say everyone here is very outgoing and friendly.
It's different than like the Seattle freeze,
Yeah.
which is something that we experienced when we lived in Seattle, partially because we moved there in 2020. But notoriously, people from Seattle are not super friendly, and
Just like, hey, how's it going? And that's about it. Here, people like will go out of their way to talk to you and get to know you, which is awesome. But I will say, just walking around and living here for the last month, I haven't seen any permanent residents that look to be our age.
no, most of them are parents of children our age.
There's like two groups that I've noticed. Parents of children our age or people who are about 10 years older than us.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping winter might be a little bit easier because we can meet people
On the slope.
on the slopes.
If you're under the age of 30 and you're watching this, or you're friends, or you have family of someone who's under the age of 30 and lives in or near Park City, let us know in the comments or follow us on Instagram because we would love to make some friends.
Really common question as well is, have we found our spots? Have we found our groove, our favorite places?
100%. And I think a big part of that was that I had come here so often growing up. Like this was our family's go-to winter destination. And then we spent 3 months here in the trailer this winter. So we got to figure out what gyms do we like to go to, what grocery stores, what coffee shops, what restaurants, and just get all of that ironed out. And one of the really cool things about Park City is you're kind of 25 minutes away from the next city. You're 25 minutes away from one side of the valley is Salt Lake City, and then the other way is Heber. So basically you don't really leave the 15-minute radius of Park City, and they have everything you need here. The one thing they don't have are two things. One is a Target, the other is a Trader Joe's, but they have Whole Foods, they have every other grocery store, and they have a Walmart, so we can get pretty much everything we need.
I think that's one of my favorite things about Park City and something that I didn't really think about when we were planning on moving here, but I really appreciated is that because everything is in Park City, everything is 15 minutes away, so we're just spending so much less time driving. I feel like we have a few extra hours in our day, which has allowed us to spend more time outside.
Next question, and by the way, a lot of these questions came directly from Instagram, so if you don't follow us on Instagram, make sure you do. But what's it like owning our first home?
It's been wonderful. I didn't think the home buying process was stressful. We had some major stressors in the first few weeks that we moved in because we just moved here. We don't have any of those connections. But aside from that, it's been really awesome. The price of being able to decorate exactly how I want, to me, that's priceless, and that overrides any stress that might come with something breaking or something needing fixing. And we're super, super fortunate to not be house poor, which is a huge part.
We're fortunate enough to be able to afford. We may not like to
no one likes
pay this
to.
necessary bill or fix this thing that we need, but we can. I think that's the biggest thing, is just being able to like fully control and decorate. Like I know the first project I worked on was my office, and just being able to like you said, put holes in the wall and hang stuff and just organize it, knowing that this is not something that we're going to have to move out of in a year when our lease is up, or this is something that we're going to have to pay the security deposit to fix. Like it's ours.
I moved around a lot when I was little. I think I was in like 8 different houses. And then I moved every single year of college and basically every year since college. So I really haven't had a permanent home in a long, long time. And even though we've only been here a month, in the back of my mind, I know that this is, if not permanent, more permanent than anything I've had in the last 15 years.
Yes.
And it really feels like home.
Follow-up question on that. What's our plan with this home? Like, how long are we gonna stay here?
I personally would love to keep this home forever, so long as it fits us and whatever our family looks like. I don't know that I want to live in Park City full-time year-round for forever. So in a perfect ideal world, we would keep this home and then also purchase something in Orange County and be able to hop back and forth when we want to. In the meantime, we will be in this house full-time for the next few years. So the biggest surprise about Park City for me was the weather. What about for you?
I think for me the biggest surprise too has been the weather. I've never even really been to a place where I snowboard when there's not snow. And so I was always worried that I would have this like weird feeling of like, why does the mountain not have snow on it? I don't know. But like it was such a pleasant surprise the very first time we drove into Park City to just literally have my jaw drop looking at the mountains and be like, it's so green. Like this is probably even more beautiful than when they're covered in snow. And I can't believe I just thought that. But I might even argue that Park City is more beautiful in the summer just because it's so luscious and green. And that's what everyone said. Everyone when we were moving here, they all said, you come for the winter, but you stay for the summer. I also think it's just so flippin' gorgeous outside with the green and the flowers, and it's awesome.
My only complaint, it's not really like a place to go swimming. It sounds nice to like jump in some water. Very anti-pool. I absolutely hate chlorine. It's not like a lake.
I was flipping through one magazine when I was in a waiting room, and there was it was a magazine from a few years ago advertising a new community. So now it's like an established community, but it has a lake, very similar to like Rancho Mission Viejo. Like there's a lake.
You know, I wonder if there's a man-made lake or somewhere that you can go swimming. And like we see lakes, but we're like, is that like swim safe? We're not really sure.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just get like a kiddie pool.
Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe. Soon we will do a house tour and some other videos about our new life in this new home. Let us know what questions you have down in the comments. See ya.